Welcome to A Balanced Life on the Go. I'm Dr. Nicole Lindsay, your host on this podcast, along with Dr. Brian Jeanette. This is a podcast designed to help connect you to a more balanced life on the go. Each week, we will bring you simple, concise, and easy to implement ideas, tips, and strategies to help you connect to better nutrition, movement, and thinking so you can achieve balance in your busy life. Isn't this what life is all about? Trying to achieve balance so that we can be healthy, happy, and live to our fullest potential. We're glad you joined us. Let's get started. Excellent. Welcome to Balanced Life on the Go podcast. I have a special guest with me today, Joe Quinlan. He is a Pedorthist at FootRx, and I know many of you are thinking right now, what is a Pedorthist? Well, we're gonna jump in and find out all about what he does, what he can do to help support your chiropractic care, your healthy body, and get you running and walking and healthier. So welcome to the podcast, Joe.
Hey, thank you. Good morning. It's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. We love on this podcast to just help our community members learn more ways to support their health in a natural way. And I love what you're doing. I see a lot of patients that have problems with their feet, ankles, knees, hips, all the way up. And I'm so excited to learn more about what you do and how you can help support our patients. So what is a Pedorthist? Let's start there.
That's a really good question. Most people don't know what a Pedorthist is. Sometimes people think that we just misspell podiatrist. Traditionally, a Pedorthist is someone who works in a laboratory and they fabricate custom orthotics. So if you go to your podiatrist, he'll take a mold or a scan of your foot usually and ship it to a Pedorthist who just sees your name, your size, what's going on with your foot, and just makes a custom orthotic and ships it either to you or back to your podiatrist or your foot doctor.
Okay. What is the main difference between a podiatrist and a Pedorthist? Is it that you simply just specialize in the orthosis?
Yeah. So a podiatrist, they'll go to school to learn the medicine of podiatry. And that's where they will learn about the foot, the ankle. They will have some education on shoes and orthotics. And they will also learn surgery. And where a Pedorthist does not go to quite the amount of school that a podiatrist does, our certification is more like a massage therapist where it's just a year. You have to pass a hard test that, in my opinion, is designed to help make you fail. But you study the lower extremity, especially the foot and the ankle, and you're kind of nerd out about shoes and orthotics as well.
So why would a person choose to go to a Pedorthist versus a podiatrist?
Well, to be clear, the one thing we don't do is we don't diagnose. So we never play the role of a doctor. So if someone comes to see us and they have a very acute pain and they have no idea what it is, instead of me just guessing as what it is, sometimes I will refer them to a podiatrist or to a foot doctor who will give the diagnosis, and then they'll usually just send them back our way. But the reason that someone would see me versus a podiatrist specifically, I would say my passion has been more holistic approach to pedorthics than just shipping out custom orthotics to every single person I see. So I will sit down with my customers anywhere between 30 minutes to 90 minutes and go over their footwear diet with them. So they will bring me all of their shoes that they wear, and they will tell me all of the pain and discomfort that they have. And I will help lead them in a direction that is not going to just be beneficial to get them out of pain, to hopefully the sooner the better, but also to lead them on a path towards a healthier foot down the road. So that way they're not just seeing me every single year for a pair of custom orthotics or over the counter or anything like that.
I love that. I love the footwear diet. That's a really nice concept, and one that I've never thought of. But I know from personal experience, I had a chiropractor back when I was in chiropractic school that was practicing on a second level. You had to go up the steps to see her. Her practice was upstairs, and we'd all take our shoes off and leave our shoes downstairs and walk up barefoot, get adjusted. And I kept going, week after week, and my hips and my pelvis were constantly misaligned, and I was having a lot of back and hip pain. And she finally asked me one day, what are you wearing on your feet? And it never crossed my mind. So I went and got my shoes, and I had these beautiful wooden sandals. They were probably 2 inches high, strappy, and they were gorgeous. But she took one look at those and said, no more, no more. They're throwing your body out of alignment. So my footwear diet was not good, but I really like that. That's a great concept. What conditions do you tend to treat or manage as in your practice?
Definitely any types of foot pain. So heel pain is extremely common, whether it's plantar fasciitis or posterior tibialis tendon dysfunction. But a lot of forefoot pain, a tremendous amount, actually.
Really?
I would say that's probably the greatest, if I had to make a little pie chart, forefoot pain, be it whether it's bunions, bunionettes, hammer toes, claw toes, metatarsalgia, neuromas, all sorts of foot pain. But there are many physical therapists and chiropractors and some foot doctors who will send us their patients for calf pain, for knee pain, for hip pain or back pain. Yeah. There's a few chiropractors who will tell their patients to come to us and say, do not come back to me until you get some treatment for your shoes or your orthotics, whichever.
Yeah, we do see quite a bit of that. And I do also love to collaborate with other, healthcare practitioners, because it is one of those things that if you've had extra study in this area and this really well, and you're seeing day in and day out people with this type of pain, you've probably corrected so many of them, typically what it takes to fix that. It only makes sense to work together with other healthcare practitioners to help the patients more. So how important is your gait, your feet being in proper alignment to the rest of your body?
It's extremely important. It honestly dictates a lot of the reason that people go see chiropractic work or seek physical therapy, or seek their podiatrist due to foot pain. About a few months ago in October, I read a few articles that led me to one article that was written by a podiatrist named William Rossi. And it was based on how footwear makes natural gait impossible. And it was written back in the 90s. So it's been out for a few decades now. But it was talking about the features that we see in footwear that make up about 95% of most shoe stores, that make gait patterns a little dysfunctional and make feet dysfunctional. And I see it every single day after I read that article of how our shoes make us walk differently and how that leads to pain, whether it's in your foot or whether it's in your knee or your hip, or some people that's even shoulder pain and neck pain.
So what percentage of, do you think, with what you've seen over the years, are our shoes making our bodies sick? What percentage of the time?
Extremely high percentage. I mean, has to be 80 or 90% without having any scientific data to back that up. But the few podiatrists that have gone from country to country and taken a look at footwear, they all have come to the conclusion that the cultures that are not as industrial as America or any country that has footwear that we have, does not have the same issues that we have. If I were to go to the jungles of Liberia as a Pedorthist, I would lose my job because they wear either really thin sandals or no shoes at all, and their feet are different in their function and in their shape and how they feel. Like, I would have to learn how to treat malaria or those diseases down there, or starvation, versus learning how to treat feet.
Yes.
Or if I were a chiropractor, I probably would not need I'd probably lose my job then there too, because they're not sitting in chairs all day, and they're not wearing the same shoes that we wear.
Yeah, I get that. That's an important concept there. So what is it about the shoes that we wear? If you could pick apart like a few things that we should be looking for in our shoes that we should not, it makes us not want to wear them, what would that be?
Well, there's three features that I see in most of my customers that have foot pain. The number one, which I think is the most important, is the tapered toe box. A 95% of most shoes will have a triangular shape after the ball of the foot. And that feature has been in fashion shoes for 300 to 400 years now. And it was designed to make the foot look smaller, in hoping that the smaller the foot, the better looking the foot, the sexier the foot. And it's common in not just fashion footwear anymore. It's common in most athletic footwear, with no advantage towards making you run better or run faster or jump higher, when it usually causes foot deformities and foot dysfunction, because it brings the great toe out of alignment. So that's the number one cause, in my opinion. So even the Brooks that you see in every shoe store, they have a tapered toe box, and it's just so that you will buy their shoes, versus if you see something shaped like a Birkenstock and you're looking down at it, they're hoping that you'll buy the Brooks. And if that feature did not exist, then I would see so much less customers every single day. The other two features, one is heel elevation, and that has been in footwear for a long time. Heel elevation is what cowboys started hammering onto their boots, so that way their boots would not slide through the stirrups when they got up onto their horses. And the long-term effects of that were, besides making them look taller, were that their calves would appear more muscular. Now, today we know that that's because those calf muscles in the entire whole posterior compartment is, completely shortened. But back then, it looked like a more muscular calf. And so fashion shoes started incorporating this into their footwear to help people look taller, but also to make their calves look a little bit better. Also, the way that it rotates the pelvis, sometimes the butt might stick out a little bit, which has a certain appeal to it. But because it weakens the whole posterior compartment, that does our calves and our Achilles no good, because it does rotate the pelvis. It does our backs and our spine no good. But it also keeps the foot completely plantar flexed the entire whole time you are in that shoe, which will overload the forefoot. Our foot should be more balanced, where we have a huge amount of weight on our heels as well as our forefoot, not our entire whole forefoot. And in the 70s, athletic companies started adding that into their shoes in order to compensate. Because if you're shortening your calf in your fashion shoes for 8 to 10 hours a day, and then you were to go run in a flat shoe, then you would get Achilles tendonitis or plantar fasciitis. So instead of telling their customers to not wear shoes with heels in order to run without pain, companies like Nike and Asics just started adding heel elevation. And now that's been in our footwear for 50 years, which has not solved anything at all. And the last thing that I look for in footwear is toe spring. And toe spring is a feature that is designed past the metatarsal. So it's past the ball of your foot, where the shoe lifts up off of the ground. And that will be anywhere between 10 to 20 degrees of dorsiflexion that it gives to your toes. And this is added to make the shoe roll forward when you walk or when you run. So if that toe spring was not there, it would not be a comfortable shoe. If there's 20 or 30 millimeters underneath your foot, it would feel like a brick is underneath your foot. But because not all of us who buy those shoes are walking or running the entire whole time we were wearing those shoes. We're sitting in the car with them. We're standing in line at the grocery store. I'm standing here talking to you. Like if I had shoes that had toe spring, it means my toes would be dorsiflexed. And so one, that will stretch the plantar muscles on the bottom of the foot because they attach to the toes. So now the toes are lifted, so stretching. But it also overloads the extensor tendons on the top of the foot. And the extensor tendons are long shin muscles, which are very strong. They help lift your foot up. They help lift your toes up. So very important when walking. And if they get overloaded, they will get used to being in that position, which will cause, it can cause shin splints, but it also causes hammer toes, which I see a bunch of every single day. So those are 3 features that I usually go over with my customers to not necessarily try to buy a shoe that has those features in unless you are specifically wanting that shoe for a small portion of your time in that shoe.
Got it.
So, for fashion shoes, wear them to your wedding, wear them on a date, wear them to church. That's 2 hours where you're not exercising your foot and you don't do it every single day. So it's not going to be as harmful. Same as if I were a nutritionist, I would not tell you to have pizza every single day, but if you moderate it and have it just a small portion, maybe, a slice a week, or that might even be too much depending on your views as a nutritionist, then, the more success you're going to see, the less you wear shoes that have those features.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you. That's really good information. Yeah, when you think about wearing the shoes for a long period of time, which most of us have practically our whole life because we're not aware of this information, and then we end up with foot problems, knee problems, back problems, and then we finally go see a chiropractor or go see a physical therapist, and we get evaluated. And now we have low back misalignment, pelvis misalignment, and we're getting that treated. But ultimately, it was the type of shoe that we were wearing for 5 decades that put us in this place, which, we need to address from the bottom up for everybody. I think it's very important to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as chiropractor in our office, we also do physical therapy, which I love, having integrated care and having the chiropractor and the physical therapist work on people. And we often have to address the extremity below or above the area of injury, because many times where you hurt is not where your problem is. It originated either lower, which is your foot, your shoe, some kind of old ankle sprain, strain that was never rehabbed properly, and now your gait patterns changed, and it works its way all the way up. So we have to kind of read the body and address it as a whole. So we do a good bit of that.
I love that you guys have a physical therapist in that same building with you guys.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely helping us serve our patients a whole lot better, integrating the two. As far as arches, let's talk about that. How many arches is normal in the human foot? What should we see?
Well, there's 3 arches in the foot. When most people tell me their arch hurts or their arch is high or low, they're talking about the medial longitudinal arch. The other arches is the lateral longitudinal arch, which is on the other side of the foot, and it's really small. It's about the size of a pinky finger, and it's very important, especially for mitigating ankle sprains. How many people roll their ankles out? And the other one is called the metatarsal arch, which is underneath the metatarsal bones, right behind the metatarsal heads. And so those are the 3 arches. And for a long time, there was a stigma saying that like your subtalar joint, which can be seen with your arch, should be like 90 degrees, completely straight. The medium arch is the better arch, the less painful arch. And that if you have a high arch or a flat arch, it's most likely going to be a dysfunctional foot. But today we know that is not to be true. I see people every day with flat feet, with flat feet, and they have functional feet, or with a very high arch and they have functional feet. It's what we put those feet into that makes them or helps them be functional.
Got it. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, because I've heard that too. That was the school of thought. It was this right here. If you don't have this arch, there's something wrong with your foot, and we need to fix that. So that's important to understand that. Are visits to someone like you important for everyone, or just for athletes that are running a lot and exercising their feet a lot?
Honestly, I've seen the whole spectrum. Like, I've seen runners, whether they're just running on the weekends or whether they're training for races. If they have any type of foot fatigue or knee or ankle pain, their physical therapist will refer them to us. But I see grandmas, I see grandpas, I see 16-year-olds, I see 12-year-olds with feet problems. And lately, for the past few months, I've now had a few people who don't have foot pain, but they have become very interested in not developing foot pain. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the trend with a lot of things these days. Like, I don't have diabetes, but I also want to eat in a way where I don't develop diabetes. And so, like, I've had physical therapists come to me and just seek my advice of what is the best shoe for them, or how to transition to healthier footwear. And my goal is to, once COVID dies down, is hopefully be able to go to some schools or anyone who's willing to listen to just help them with some healthier footwear, especially with kids, because it is so much easier to maintain a healthy foot than it is to repair it when they're 50 or 60 years old. And most shoes for 1 and 2 year olds are very healthy, where they are flat and they are flexible and they're shaped like feet. And from ages 3, 4, 5 they just become harder and harder to find. And so if I help educate the parents, then I'm hoping that down the road we will see less issues and less bunions, less metatarsalgia, less hammer toes, less plantar fasciitis, which I think would be a huge deal, because those rates have not gone down, no matter how much the industry promises it will with all their technology. And those rates need to go down because they don't exist in some cultures, and I don't think they should exist in America.
Yeah, it's so sad when a patient comes in and says, I'm retired. I moved to this area to take advantage of the outdoors, and I started going on hikes, and I'm 2 weeks in, and now I have foot pain so bad, or, foot and back pain so bad now that I cannot hike anymore. That's sad. That's sad that you wait, you work your whole life to get to this point, and now you can't do what you want to do and enjoy this beautiful area because of pain like that. So I'm in 100% agreement with you. Let's fix it, or let's prevent it altogether from the start. And I am also seeing a huge influx of younger and younger people coming into the practice that over the past year that want to be healthy, that don't necessarily have major issues going on. They just want to prevent them from arising in the first place, which I think is a huge movement happening right now. And that may be one of the good things that comes out of this past year, the pandemic, and, people educating themselves, and what do I have in my control? What do I have control of? And you have control of your health for the most part. You have control of getting healthy and doing a lot of things to prevent sickness and disease and aches and pains. So I'm seeing that as well, and it's exciting.
I follow this group on Instagram called the Foot Collective, and it's just a bunch of physios out in Canada and Australia. And one of their posts said the new healthcare is self-care. And I believe that incredibly. Like, instead of depending on my doctor to give me the right medications that I need, of just, if I have the right diet, if I have the right amount of movement into my lifestyle, then I can help keep a healthier me, not just for my 30-year-old self, but for 30 years down the road.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. So take us through a patient coming to see you. What would that look like? What would that appointment be like, that evaluation?
So I always start by listening to them. That is one of the most important things. Most of the time they will tell you what's going on. Like, they'll lead you right to, like, there's no detective work. They'll point out, they'll draw the tendons without even knowing they're drawing a tendon. They'll point to exactly where it hurts. They'll describe exactly how it hurts. The customer I saw this morning, she had a doctor's script. And I told her, I was like, this is what the doctor's script says. And she was like, that's not where the pain is. And she drew out the pain, and she was walking out with no pain, which was a big deal. But so after I listened to them, the next thing I'll do is pull the sock liner out of the shoe, and I will put their foot on the sock liner. This is important because it gives the customer a visual of how they're fitting in their shoe. And 9 times out of 10, they will not have the right shape or the right size of shoe. Their big toe will not be in alignment. It will be misaligned, which the medical term for that is called hallux valgus. So either their big toe matches the shape of the liner, which is the big toe is heading away from the midline. But other times I have customers where their toe is hanging off of the liner, meaning that their toe is not misaligned, but every time they go into that shoe, they are misaligned, which is going to cause a lot of arch dysfunction, since most of the muscles in the arch attach to the big toe. But most times their pinky toes are also hanging off, which is important for arch function because lots of the arch muscles do attach to the 4 pinky toes. But also for ankle sprains, like, we need to keep those muscles on the outside of the foot really strong and really healthy. That way you're not twisting out your ankle every time you go on a hike or every time you try to play ball with your son or something like that. So that's the most important, because it's not a customer just trusting that what I say is truth. Because you could sit 10 Pedorthists in a room and they would all say something different. It's just giving them the visual of my foot does not fit in the shoe, and I wear the shoe for 10 to 12 hours a day. And so we go over what healthier footwear is, depending on what their pain is. So if they're having Achilles issues, most customers I see all have heel elevation in their shoes. And it's like, all right, this is what is causing your entire whole calf muscle, all 6 of them, to be shorter and less functional. If they're having toe pain or arch pain, I'll go over the forefoot. And then I'll just explain to them that I can give them an orthotic, because that's what they're seeing me for. Like, most people go to a Pedorthist for an orthotic. I can give them an orthotic if they would like, and it can help reduce their pain. It can help take their pain away. And then every year or 2 years, 3 years, whenever that orthotic wears out, they will come see me again for another orthotic. But most people, I think this goes back to our conversation with people wanting to take care of themselves, will go into the conversation of changing your footwear. And that would be into a shoe that is shaped like a foot, or a shoe that has less elevation in the heel, or less toe spring, or sometimes even less cushion, especially if they have some knee issues or back issues. And then if I do give them an orthotic, then it's only temporary to get them out of the pain. And then, like anything else in the body, once they're out of pain, they can slowly wean themselves off of that orthotic. But yeah, most customers have been more open to this than ever, because they don't want just this little quick fix. They understand that if they walk out with no pain, they'll have to come back as soon as they start feeling that pain again, because it means their orthotic is worn out. The most used orthotic that I use is a toe spacer that is called Correct Toes. And it's the only orthotic that I carry that restores your foot. It doesn't just hold up your arch. You put it in between your toes, and it brings your great toe back to its natural alignment. And along with some foot exercises and some foot stretches that I usually like to go over with my customers, we see not only pain diminish, but also just the foot becomes more functional. So that way it doesn't hurt to step out of their bed in the morning. They're not afraid to walk barefoot in the kitchen. They're not afraid to walk barefoot outside. They have a good understanding of what healthier footwear looks like. And the results that I've seen from it have been the most inspiring results. Like, I've seen customers who they've tried everything in the book, from the hardest orthotics to the softest orthotics to the most supportive shoes or whatnot. And they were almost considering surgery, and all we did is just change their footwear. And they come to me being like, not only am I pain-free, but I can lift up my big toe, and I actually feel my big toe when I walk. Or like, now I can walk with my kids in the yard barefoot and not have any worries about foot pain coming back.
That's awesome. I love that you're helping people correct the problem. Not just supporting if they want that. You're offering that, which is great. We're big proponents of that as well, which is one of the reasons why I did bring physical therapy into the practice. Was I found that some patients just weren't holding their alignments, weren't holding their adjustments, and they can keep coming week after week after week and get realigned. But if we don't fix the problem, strengthen the muscles around the spine, and help the person understand what they need to do to support that, because they're going to go home and sit at their desk for 8 hours. But what can they do to counter that? What kind of exercises? What can they strengthen? You know what I mean? What protocol? What can they do at home so that they don't end up pulling their body right back out of alignment every single day? That's where it's at. And I love that you're doing that with their feet as well, helping them.
Absolutely. I love that you're doing that, because chiropractic is expensive. Yeah. And I think chiropractors take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And I know people who go to their chiropractor many times on a weekly basis for years, and their chiropractor did never mention to them anything about footwear, anything about their sitting lifestyle, anything about their nutrition. And it's just like a in and out, just come on in, I'll adjust you, get back out. Yeah,
I totally understand. Yeah. And we're all about inspiring people to take healthy action all the way around, because it all matters. Your feet, your footwear, your everything, your diet, your thought pattern. And that's why we do these podcasts. We have podcasts on many different topics, and the more we can educate our patients and the community, the healthier they can be, and they can do more of that self-care. So how can someone find you here in Asheville if they want your services? Where can they find you?
The easiest place to find me is at FootRx Asheville. We're a running store on Hendersonville Road, just right down the road from you guys, actually. And if people call the shop, they can get an appointment. And if they just want to just come into the shop, like, that's honestly sometimes a more affordable option, where they wouldn't see me, they wouldn't sit down with someone for just that one-on-one time, but they would sit down with someone on staff, and the staff has been very well educated on not just bringing out what shoe they like to wear or whatever the companies have taught them about their shoes and how their shoes are going to help foot pain, but they've been taught about healthy footwear and keeping people out of pain. And I mean, you don't have to pay for that service. We offer that service free of charge. So that's FootRx is the easiest place to find me. I'm also on Instagram at joequinlan.pedorthist. But sometimes I'll post every single day for a week, and then sometimes I'll just not touch it for a week, depending on how busy I am here at the shop. So it's not like the most reliable source to get in touch with me. But I would say FootRx, Asheville.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And we'll share your links in with the notes in this podcast and make sure our patients can get in touch with you if they want to reach out. So, well, thank you so much for sharing all these great tips and information about feet, footwear, and what you do and how you can better help us be healthier from the ground up. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice to be on, and it was also just nice to talk to a human being without a mask.
Yeah. Before we go, we always like to share one thing that people can start working on right now in regards to our topic. So I'm going to let you give that. What would be the one thing you want people to do right now to...
one thing. Oh, so like right now. So, okay.
Yeah.
I'll just take off your shoes. And for some people, that could be 30 seconds. A lot of people have been told the wrong information from their doctor to never take off your shoes. And so for some people with no foot pain, they'll probably be able to go for 5 to 10 minutes. But other customers that I have, like they'll probably be able to go for 30 seconds and put their shoes back on, just baby steps. And I'm okay with baby steps, but just getting whatever is on your feet off of your feet and just letting your toes breathe, your feet breathe. Especially if you're outside. Outside feels the best in the grass. Even if it's on gravel, just do it for 5 seconds. Try it for 5 seconds and just get that natural earth underneath your feet. It's such a good feeling, and it's addictive.
Love it. Awesome. A little bit of grounding. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and reach out to Joe at FootRx if you need more. Thanks, guys, for listening.